This card don't read so good. Wake up. This card in the set. What the hell is this? Best in show. All right, what's up, my friends? Welcome to the complete set review for Final Fantasy. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, support the content as always. I do every card in the entire set. We're doing limited. We're doing constructed. We're doing all the colors in sections. We did white. We did blue. You missed those. Go watch them on YouTube. Now we're going through all the black cards. And of course, we're looking at the mechanics. We're looking at the ratings. We're giving out the awards you know and love. And we're getting right to it. As a reminder, 10 New Brews is coming up real soon. All right. Wednesday, June 4th. I'll be playing with all of these cards in the early access stream. 2 o'clock, and of course on YouTube to follow. Make sure you tune in for that. Good stuff. Let's jump right in with no delay to a Human.
You're saying it wrong.
I don't know. It sounds right to me. A Human. 3 mana for a common 2/2 flying Death Touch. 3 mana to sacrifice another creature or artifact, draw a card. This card's pretty good, right? So Windrake has not been a playable card in Limited for a really long time. It is once a staple, now basically unplayable. When you put Death Touch on there and a cool activated ability, you get a really solid card. Flying Death Touch for 3 can block anything and kill it, which is awesome. And it can chip some damage in. If the game goes long, you can sacrifice things and draw cards. There is certainly a sacrifice theme in black and white. This card's nice. I like this card a lot. Good draft card. Not incredible. Definitely want to utilize the sacrifice effect if you can. But yeah, cool draft card. Weird art. I have no idea what this is from. Final Fantasy 3 apparently, but cool stuff. Al Bhed Salvagers. The metaphor, an uncommon 2/3. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, you drain for 1. This card is nice. A Blood Artist effect is only for you. It is not for your opponent's creatures as well. But on a recent body, on a decent sized body, that is great. 2 for 3. This guy can rumble a little bit. Also on artifact sacks too. This is going to be a phenomenal card in Limited. Perfect for your black-white sacrifice decks. I think playable just on pure rate if you're blue-black or whatever, as long as you're playing enough creatures or artifacts. But this card's great. Really, really cool stuff. Also, there's no cap here. So if there's some sort of infinite loop by sacrificing artifacts or creatures, this is a combo card in that respect as well. So this card's good. Card's going to show up in a lot of different places. Good constructed card. Great limited card. Just really, really powerful card, honestly. And not the only Blood Artist you'll see. More on that in a bit. Next, Arden the Usurper. 8 mana. Legendary Elder Human Noble. Demons you control have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. And it has Star Scourge. Beginning combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If you exile a creature card this way, if you exile a card this way, make a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 5/5 black demon. So, a really, really powerful card. That being said, it is a 8 mana 4/4, so it is very, very expensive. But if you can get this thing into play and you go a turn or 2 goes by, it's going to be very, very hard to lose. You'll be making 5/5, hasted Baneslayers with abilities and stuff as well. This could be like your super reanimator card in Constructed where you get this back to get back in a track star or something like that. That is a little bit overkill, I think, most of the time. But, really, really powerful card. Probably more of a casual card in that respect, in that, it is so over the top. I would love to cast this card in Limited. That is definitely going to be a bucket list item of mine for Bronze Mythic. But really, really powerful card. Really, really expensive card. Got to make some Timmies happy for sure, though. Black Mage's Rod. 2 mana for an artifact equipment. Job select. So once again, this comes with a 1/1 token attached to it. Creature is plus also, and has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, they take 1 damage, and it's also a wizard. So again, looking at these job select cards, these equipments here, the base rate of this is a 2/1 for 2 is not bad. That being said, the equipments that are white or red, white in particular, having the double synergy with the blue artifact cards and the red equipment cards is important. This card being black makes that artifact and equipment synergies not as much of a thing, makes it less exciting. Only 1 toughness, also kind of not exciting here. There is this wizard theme of you get to ping for 1 of your spells. It seems kind of okay. think this is mostly filler though. I do recognize that character though from Final Fantasy 1 or whatever, like from a bajillion years ago in another life basically. But yeah, I think filler common, not much more. Cecil, Dark Knight. No awards. Okay, that's fine. Good card though. 1 black legendary creature, human knight with death touch, has the darkness ability. Again, these italicized words here are not mechanics. They are only flavor words, so no real relevance to that. Whenever it deals damage, you lose that much life, which is a major drawback. Then if your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, you get to untap it and transform it. So 2/3 death touch for 1 is pretty nice, honestly. But you will take some damage. And when you do it, hit that lower mark of being a 10 or less life, flips over into Cecil, Redeemed Paladin. He turned into a good guy. That's great. 4/4 lifelink, and whenever attacks, other attackers get indestructible. A 4/4 lifelink is pretty boss. This card's pretty good, so I think this card's kind of nice. It is unfortunate that it has to connect to flip. That is definitely true. But a 2/3 death touch for 1 is not a bad stat line. It blocks well. It obviously stinks to block with this and lose 2 life. But, if you've got to kill the thing that's attacking, it will always do that, which is pretty comforting in that regard. So this card's cool. I like this card a lot. I think it's a good limited card. Definitely a card playable, constructed. Kind of cool, but it's not bad on offense and or defense. It can block and flip as well. Has to survive that though, which is a big deal. But yeah, cool card. Don't forget also these 1-mana legendaries are cool for legend synergies in older formats, be they Mox Amber or whatever else. So this card's cool. I like this card a lot. One of the better cards in black. Could have easily won an award, I think, but cool stuff. Circle of Power. 4 mana for a sorcery. Draw 2, lose 2, then make one of these 0/1 black wizard tokens that has this cast a non-creature spell, and they take 1 effects. And it's also a effect that gives all of your wizards plus MSO and lifelink until end of turn. If this was an enchantment that did this, oh boy, would this card be awesome. As a spell, probably not doing much, maybe a little bit of an attack here, maybe gain a little life, but pretty hard to chain together spells with the lifelink and use all your wizards to gain a bunch of life because this card costs 4. I think this card's mostly pretty mopey, not very exciting overall. 4 mana for a Sign in Blood, just kind of Cornered by Black Mages. That's a lot of little guys there. 3 mana for, reminds me of Zelda, actually, with the Wizard Robes, and you're playing original Zelda. Those guys would kill the crap out of you. But 3 mana for a sorcery. It's an Edict. They sack a creature, and you make one of these 0/1 black wizard tokens. 3 mana for an Edict is pretty tough. I think they really were super conservative on the 0/1 black tokens that ping, because they do seem pretty annoying if you can't kill them or get around them. So this seems a little sketchy, but
Hello, darkness.
It's a trap!
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm really, really sorry. I really, really hate to do it. Dark Confidant is back. Dark Confidant is my trap card. If you want to leave the stream or turn off the video, I'm not even going to blame you about it. I know. I love Dark Confidant. Trust me. All right. I'm so happy to take my Ravnica Dark Confidants out of my modern binder into my standard binder. But that being said, time has not been kind to Dark Confidant. It feels like these days, if this card never existed and they were to print this card, it would be like an uncommon. 1 toughness, no combat abilities. There is a very heavy deck building restriction for Dark Confidant that is more dramatic in standard because you typically play cards that cost a little more in standard. This card, was good in standard the first time around. Obviously, I was there, Gandalf, 10,000 years ago, my first Pro Tour. Dark Confidant was a mainstay. But that being said, it's been a while, and this sort of card advantage is gettable in other ways from a card that is not so fragile. I almost am doing this to try and hedge myself, so I hope I'm wrong. And so if I am wrong here, I'm happy. And if I'm right, I guess I'm happy because I'm right. But yeah, I think Dark Confidant will see a little bit of play in standard. But this card is not the powerhouse it once was. There was a time 10, 15 years ago, this card was considered the best creature ever printed. That is no longer the case.
Could have picked a better spot.
So here we are. When red's the best deck in the format, it's a tough place to be. So I think Dark Confidant will have some place. It is also now legal in Pioneer, which is relevant as well, which is a cheaper format. But yeah, hard to play in Limited, but good if you can. But yeah, I am sad to say I think that Bob's best days might be behind him, but I really, really, really hope that I am wrong. Really. Dark Knight's Greatsword. 3 mana for an artifact, Job Select. So it comes in with a 1/1. Equip creature gets +3/+0 and is a knight. And the equip cost here is pay 3 life. I like this as a limited card a lot. So black-white, making a lot of tokens. This being a 4/1. That first trade is going to feel a little bad, but you just put this thing around. Pop it on there on the next 4/1, attack again. Free equips are very, very powerful. 3 life is a lot, don't get me wrong, but this is a lot of power for an equipment, and it's a creature that can block and stuff too. So if you play this, you block their 3/2 or whatever, and then have the sword in play, that's a pretty good exchange in Limited. I want to have a lot of fodder in my deck, want to have a lot of good things that can wear it, but puts in a flyer, puts on a lifelinker, really awesome stuff. So I think it's a pretty good Limited card, one to watch out for. The Darkness Crystal. Ooh. This is the black entry into the Crystal Cycle. 4 mana for a medallion. Black spells cost 1 less. And the 2 abilities on here are if a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it and gain 2 life. And you can spend 6 mana, tap this, and choose one of those cards and put it into play tapped. Tapped? Tapped is brutal with 2 counters on it. This card is extremely slow. It is quite powerful if it gets going. This is going to be a pretty hard card to beat in Limited. That being said, 6 mana to put a creature in tapped is really, really rough. And you have to actually exile the creatures. It's not like you can just have a card in your graveyard. You must be able to kill a thing you want to steal and then also steal it. So this is a lot of hoops to go through. This is basically a commander card. This is a unbeatable card in Limited if you can get the game to go long. Constructed, not really, but pretty fun card. Pretty cool stuff. Unfortunately, really, really expensive. Demon Wall. It's a demon wall. Hilarious. So add it for a 3/3 defender. Has menace. As long as the creature has a counter on it, it can be any kind of counter. It can attack as a defender. Spend 6, put 2 counters on it. The big thing here, of course, is in standard. This is a 2-mana demon for your Unholy Annex. Yeah, it is, but it can't attack. There isn't a lot of counter synergy happening in the demon deck. I think this card's a trap. Didn't give it the trap award, but I think it's not really a standard playable card. I could be wrong. I'm not gonna go way out here. Again, didn't give it the trap award, but I think this card's mostly eh. And then in Limited, this card's pretty good. Blocking isn't hard. And then later on, boom, it's a 5/5 with menace. And then you can keep activating it. It's not like a one-shot deal. So good Limited card. And then, maybe it's good enough with the Annex. We already have Shaka, whatever demon. That card notably doesn't block. And you want a card that blocks for the Annex. So again, wouldn't be surprised to see this card be playable, but not super convinced. Good Limited card, though. Evil Reawakened. 5 mana for a sorcery. Return a creature from the battlefield with 2 counters on it. So this is Zombify with upside. I don't think in Constructed, 1 extra mana is worth 2 counters. This is purely a Limited card. There are some big boppers in this set. I'm not going to lie. And there is some pretty cool graveyard things happening too. But for the most part, this is a Limited card. Bring back a Land Cycler. Adding 2 counters of a Land Cyclers is pretty good. So I think in Limited, if you have a couple Land Cyclers, this card could be pretty reasonable. But this is a Limited card and nothing more. Fang, Fearless. This is the only meld card in the set. More on that later. 2 mana for an uncommon 2/3. Whenever you 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, you draw a card, lose 1, but only once a turn. And that's kind of a cool effect, like Bloodghast or Flashback or whatever else. That being said, a 2/3 body for 3 is not a constructed playable body. So I think for the most part, this is a limited card. There's some flashback in the set, some stuff like that. But, overall, mostly a limited card. More on the meld later. That'll be in the multicolored section. It melds with the green card. So, yeah. It's just an okay limited card. Fight on! The mana for an instant, return up to 2 target creature cards when you get rid of the battlefield. So double raise that at instant speed. If it's a grindy limited format, this card is good. Your deck will want 1. If it's not grindy, you won't want it. I would imagine most black decks in the draft format will want one of these. But the final days. Black 2, sorcery. Create 2 tapped black horror tokens. If it was cast in the graveyard, instead make X tokens, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Why do they gotta keep doing this, huh? They gotta keep doing this to us.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what everyone thinks I'm gonna do. Flip out, man.
Spider spawning was awesome. These cards not making blockers is really difficult. It would be a really fun limited archetype, but there's so much setup that has to happen here. So you finally get to the point where you cast this card, but if you're behind, you just lose, which is really, really tough. So I think this card it's definitely going to be fine limited, but the setup's got to be good. I don't know, this card was in some recent set and it was kind of okay. I don't know. I think it's all right. Tap's pretty tough. Flashback here is a reasonable 6 mana, but yeah, tap is a big bummer. Maybe I'm a little too locked out as being a bummer, but I don't know. 2 2/2s for 4s is okay. So I don't know. If the format's slower, it'll be good. If it's faster, it won't be as good. But we're gonna move on here to Gaius Van Baelsar. Hopefully that's right. 4 mana for a 3/2 legendary human soldier. Whenever it enters, choose one. Sack a token creature, sack a non-token creature, or sack an enchantment. This is like the biggest commander card of all time, right? This is a black card that can kill enchantments. Cool. Realistically, a 3/2 Edict is kind of cool. And there is a little bit of like a modality here where there's a lot of tokens in this set. Being able to dodge the token is nice. But it's also each player. Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. I misread it. So it's not each opponent, it's each player. That's tough. Yeah. This is a pretty tough card. 3/2 body, no keyword abilities. Tough sell. Feels like more of a commander card than anything else. If you're like, black-white sacrifice, tons of tokens sacrifice and shuff, sure, but overall, I don't know, body's kind of eh. Heck dies. That being said, if you are a sacrifice deck, this thing looks great. 2 mana for a Ravenous Rat. These cards have been great in limited over the last few years. Whenever there's one of these in a set, it's one of the top commons. Gets better and better when synergy gets involved when it comes to sacrifice and things like that. But this is a great fodder for your deck. Discard a card, look for that sack value, and also an important card to be aware of in limited. Don't play that 6th land, right? If you got one good spell in your hand left, don't play the 6th land for no reason. Hold it in your hand to defend against the rats. Otherwise, you already have like 4 constructed. So, cool card, good draft card. Jekt, Reluctant Guardian. 4 mana for a 4/3 legendary menace creature. If it deals combat damage to a player, you may exile it and then flip it. So no mana cost here, just a combat damage trigger. Kind of hard to pull off, honestly, as a 4/3. It dies to a lot of stuff. Got to get it in. That being said, if you do hit, you get Vraska's Final Aeon. 7/7 menace. Note that it can only attack once, but each opponent discards a card and you draw a card. That's pretty good. So Mind Rot and Divination. And then the ultimate shot is each opponent sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice. So the effect is very, very powerful if this thing hits. In limited, this card's a banger, right? Play it, they kill it, whatever. If they don't kill it, you're probably going to win. Constructed, you can't play a 4/3 for 4 that has to hit Constructed. So great limited card. Constructed, not really there, but oh yeah, that is a nice one. Note also this card does not flip back like a lot of Legends do. Once it's gone forever, but still very, very powerful. Kane, Traitorous Dragoon. 3 mana for a 2/4, nice stat line. It has flying during your turn. Much sure why these knights have this jump ability, but whatever. It deals combat damage to a player. That player gains control of this, and if they do, Yeah, whenever you discover damage to a player, that player gains control of this. If they do, you draw that many cards, make that many treasures, and lose that much life. So face value, you draw 2, lose 2, make 2 treasures, but they get the creature, which is kind of a tough sell, honestly. In Commander or whatever, give it to one of your friends and make a buddy, yada yada yada. In real Magic, I have a tough sell. If you can buff it, cool. Say you draw 4 and you draw 4, make 4 treasures. You also lose 4, which is tough too. So kind of a weird card, kind of an odd card to evaluate that's seeing it in play. I'm sure I'll play at some point on Bronze Mythic, which is really fun. But yeah, if you can bounce it, that's kind of cool. Note that you can't sacrifice it or bounce it with the trigger of a stack, which would be a trick that most other players would want to do because it says if you do gain control of it. So no tricks there. Gotta play it straight up. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of cool. Definitely not a constructed card, but cool. Yes, the new cigarette sponsorship.
That's it. I'm going to close.
Just what we needed, right? Smoke cigarettes, kids. Smoke. This is a black land cycler, 6 mana for a 4/4 with bad breath. Whenever it ETBs, each opponent discards a card, loses 2 life, exiles top 3 cards of their library. This one's not bad. So the first 2 land cyclers were borderline unplayable, as a lot of the land cyclers have been lately. Once again, we have 2 pips here, so this is not going to help facilitate a splash. But black has that reanimation spell, which is kind of cool. And then, as far as a top end card goes, 4/4, get your last card, lose a little life. It's okay. You could do worse. It's not particularly great. But yeah, I think, fringe playable. I think if you have a Zombify or 2 in your draft deck, this card becomes really, really good. But yeah, kind of Land Cycler has not been very good lately so far. We'll get more on that later. But yeah. Namazu Trader. 4 mana for a 3/4 common. ETB, lose 1 and make a treasure. It's a pretty powerful effect. Whenever it stacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact, and if you do, surveil 2. Unfortunately, sacrificing a creature or artifact, not really worth surveilling 2. If you sack a treasure or like a creature with an aura on it or whatever, okay, but I don't want to sack a 1 to surveil 2, really. So I think this is a pretty sketchy card. Can't facilitate splashes, kind of cool. Body's okay, but yeah, I think this is most just a filler limited card. Not very exciting. Ninja Blades, 3 mana for a equipment job select. So it comes with a 1/1 hero token already attached to it. Creature gets +1/+1 as a ninja. And whenever this card deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card, then discard a card, and they lose life equal to the discarded card's mana value. So actually trying to build around this card is pretty tough. You're going to put some 8 mana card in your deck to discard, and then if you don't get to hit with this card, you have an 8 mana card in your hand. That's kind of stinky. So base value here, we have a 2/2 for 3 with no combat or evasion abilities. That's pretty tough. So I think this card is kind of meh. Does play kind of cool with the rooms and split cards and so on and so forth, but not a reliable strategy in standard just to play a 2/2 for 3, actually hit your opponent, and then discard some expensive thing. Cool limited card, a little bit of looting, so on and so forth, but this card needs a keyword, whether it's flying or death touch, just something. As it stands, pretty unimpressive. Overkill.
Get off my plane.
Just murder, folks. 3 mana for an instant, minus 9,999. It does get through indestructible, so a little better than murder in that regard. But yeah, cool card, good limited card, a little easier to cast than your average murder, but great limited card for constructed. I guess if indestructible creatures end up being good, but you'll want an exile effect most of the time. But there you go. There's your overkill. And that does have as a combo with this card, some old commander card. Go look that up, whatever. Phantom Train, all aboard. 4 mana for a 4/4 trample vehicle. Notably a vehicle that does not have a crew ability, right? Where is it? What you can do is you can sacrifice an artifact creature, put a counter on it, and make it into a spirit creature. So it's always going to be a 5/5 the first time. 5/5 trample for 4 is not bad. There's a black-white sacrifice theme in limited, so pretty cool limited card. And if you're sacrificing, a treasure or something like that, not bad. And the fact it's a free equip or a free crew, on defense, kind of cool as well. So cool card, a little clunky. Might end up being too clunky, honestly. It's going to depend a lot on how good this sacrifice deck isn't limited and how good the enablers are, but this thing's cool. I like this card. Not for constructed, obviously, but cool stuff. It is unbounded sacrifices, so if there was some sort of like loop combo, maybe, but probably not. Boys in the water. Is that a song? So for a sorcery, choose one. All creatures get -1/-1, or target player reveals their hand. Choose an artifact or creature card from it, and that player discards that card. This card is like pretty good. So we don't usually see this -1/-1 effect for this cheap and having this modality on it. So 2 mana for a Thoughtseize for a creature or an artifact is not like, it's not good, but it's not bad either, you know? And this kills all the little tokens. So imagine this card is like a sideboard card against a deck like Convoke in Standard, where if they have a bunch of 1/1s in play, you can kill them. And if it's turn 2 on the play, you can try and take their Knight Errant or something like that. So definitely a powerful sideboard card, for sure. In Limited, there's enough modality here, it might be fine. But definitely a card to watch in Constructed. This is the kind of card you want to have in your deck building toolbox of like, you know, it's a bad matchup. What can I do here? Oh, the perfect answer, Poison in the Waters. Good stuff. Quitrub Forayer. 3 mana for a 3/2 common zombie horror. When it ETBs, choose one. Destroy a creature that was dealt damage this turn, or exile 2 cards from a single graveyard. This card's actually not bad. So usually this destroy a creature that was dealt damage this turn effect is pretty overcosted. We see it on like a 3/1 flyer for 4 or something like that. So seeing this on the limited, you know, the limited core stat line of 3/2 for 3 is pretty cool. A little graveyard value also. It's not a great card. This is definitely not a card you are ever taking highly, but if your deck needs a 3-drop, it can do that. And it also, if you are playing on tokens and small creatures, this allows you to attack with all your 1/1s. They make a block, you can just kill it. Kind of similar to the mobilized stuff we saw in the last set with that 3/3 deal 6. Not a super desirable card, but, you know, it's filler, limited filler. I wouldn't be sad to play this card. Reno and Rude. How rude. 2 mana for a 2/1 menace, a legendary creature. Never deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. Then you may sacrifice a creature or artifact. And if you do, you may play the exiled card this turn, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. So there's a lot of good happening here, right? A 2/1 menace for 2 with a combat ability is pretty sweet, but needing to have fodder and play to sacrifice, needing to actually hit the card, like a card you want to hit, not a land or uncastable. That's a few hoops. So constructed wise, not really good enough. For limited, this card's solid. This is a pretty solid card. You know, 2/1 menace for 2 as a floor, not too bad. So if you're an aggro deck in limited, this card's pretty nice, or a mid-range deck, but cool stuff. Resentful Revelation. 2 mana for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. 1 to your hand, rest to the bin, flashback for 7. So this is Ransack the Lab, I believe. It's the Modern Horizons card with a flashback. I'm actually a huge fan of this effect. This is strategic planning as well. This is a cantrip that is a little more expensive. It is a, 2 mana instead of 1. But if you're able to take the card you want and bin some quality graveyard card, that is a big deal for a lot of graveyard-focused decks. Omniscience and Standard, Reanimator decks, whatever else it might be. So you're finding your reanimation spell and hopefully dumping your reanimate card, or you're playing Bloodghast or whatever else it might be. And this effect is a lot better in black than blue because black is the graveyard color. I had Ransack the Lab in my cube for a while. This is obviously just strictly better than that card, which is awesome with a little flashback. So I like this card a lot. I think this card is definitely going to see play in Constructed. Definitely a possible Standard or Pioneer card. It is a nuts and bolts card. It is not, the cornerstone of your deck. But if your deck is looking to do a certain thing and it involves the graveyard and finding certain cards, this card does that quite well. Also in limited, same thing. Graveyard deck wants to put things in the graveyard. This does that pretty well too. So like this card a lot. Do not sleep on this effect. It is quite powerful. I'm in. Big stuff. This card's important, right? Is this a power character? An important character in some way? I don't really know. Cool hair. But Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. Just a dude. Yeah, whatever. Just a grunt. Unknown, unnamed character. Red shirt. Best in show here for Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. 2 mana for a 3/3. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card. Pretty good effect, honestly. Also, it's a freaking Blood Artist. Whenever another creature dies, They lose 1, you gain 1, noting that it is any creature on their side or your side. That's important. Then, there's more. Billy Mays here. If this is the 4th time his ability has resolved this turn, transform it into what? How about Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel? 5/5 flying with the Supernova ability. As this transforms into Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel, you get an emblem.
We have technology.
With the Blood Artist effect on it. That emblem ain't going anywhere, folks. You cannot remove an emblem. So for the rest of the game, there's a Blood Artist in play, and you cannot stop it. And if your deck is built around Blood Artists, that is unbelievably powerful. Really, really strong. Then has the ability to whenever it attacks, sacrifice any number of creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. Now, I think it's important to not classify these flip cards on their backside, right? It's sort of like a Planeswalker Ultimate, where it's a good thing to have and think about a little bit, but the main value of the card is the front side. And the front side of this card is just really freaking good.
Now this is pod racing.
It's a payoff and enabler in one. It's got a good rate stat also. It's legendary. It's a human. This card is awesome. Really, really, really good. Got to see play in Standard. Got to see play in Pioneer. Modern, probably not. Unless some sort of like, Yawgmoth deck, maybe they could play it. I don't know, maybe it's possible. But definitely a great Standard card. Definitely a great Pioneer card. An unbelievable limited card. So good. This card's unbelievable. So, they definitely did not go shy with the face cards in this set. Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier, best in show. And again, great limited card too. Sephiroth Intervention, a little less exciting. This is your common removal spell. 4 mana, kill a creature, gain 2 life. Worse than murder. 4 mana for to kill things, worse than 3. 2 life is cool, I guess, but it's a weird looking sword, right? It's kind of a weird sword. But yeah, it's an okay limited card. Not super stoked about it. Gaining life is cool. 4's a lot. It's fun. Shambling Seath. Say Seath? Am I saying it right? Who cares? Wake up! We got a sleeper card here, folks. This card is pretty sweet. This is a 3/3 for 3. It does enter tapped. However, the ability here is quite nice. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay it black. And if you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. This is an engine, folks. They give us more like Squee than like a creature, like a Gravecrawler or something like that. If you have ways to loot constantly, discard this thing, pay, get it back. Discard this thing, pay, get it back. This is a card that can facilitate an engine, which is really, really cool. That being said, obviously Squee is free. This card costs a black, which makes it a little bit more difficult. And there might not be a shell for this card, hence why it is a sleeper card, not like a a big award card. There's a chance this card never sees play anywhere. That is certainly possible.
I'm stupid, you're smart.
Hold on. I'm not there yet. But this is a very, very powerful effect to have access to. Where you're discarding things and drawing things. A lot of looty effects happening, a lot of graveyard effects happening. This card's pretty nice. So, pretty cool stuff. Definitely a card that needs a little work, but cool. In limited, this card's, it's okay. Not amazing. But for constructive, this card could be really, really nice. Shrina Reinforcements. 3 mana for a 2/3. EDB mill 3, gain 3. I mean, if you're a graveyard deck in limited, this card's pretty solid, right? 2/3 for 3 that gains 3, has some synergy, is pretty cool. This card's fine. Just a fine limited card, honestly. Not ecstatic about it. Not a card you take high. This is a card where if you are a graveyard-based deck, you'll get it late and you want to play it. Most decks won't want to play it, though, so you get it late. But, yeah, cool card. Nice enabler. I like it a lot. The black side quest is Hunt the Mark. And 5 mana for a murder, ETB kill a creature. And then at your end step, if a creature died under your opponent's control, make a treasure. Then if you have 3 treasures, transform as enchantment. So, honestly pretty cool where this is 5 mana murder, get a treasure. And you can, use that for other things. You don't have to try and flip this card. Sack it to with this, sack it to with that, cast things with it, so on and so forth. Sits there, maybe make some more treasures. And then if you do get the flip, you end up with Yawgmoth, Ultimate Mark, a big dragon.
I got a dragon here and I'm not afraid to use it.
5/6, pay 2, sacrifice an artifact or creature, and gets indestructible and tap it. So, just a pretty big idiot. No flying, kind of clunky ability. But if you get a 5/6 and a murder, pretty good. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously, you could also already have treasure, or some way to make treasure. But this card's great. Great limited card. Murder with upside. Constructed, obviously not, but good limited card. Good stuff. Now we get to our black summons. These are the creatures that are sagas that will go away on chapter 3, or chapter 4, whatever, the final chapter, if you will. And this one is a 6 mana 4/4 menace. Pain, chapter 1, 2, and 3. Draw a card and lose a life. So, Phyrexian Gargantuan, eat your heart out.
Pointlessness.
Very important, as I keep saying, to think about how many times these things can attack before they die. This one gets 2 attacks in, pretty good. And then chapter 4 is each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice, loses 3 life. Great grindy card, you know. Play a 4/4, draw a card, maybe you have a blocker. Maybe you block with it on turn, on the first, second turns. Only get a few cards off of it, but good value. Definitely going to be good in long games. If it's the slower the format is, the better this card is. The faster it is, the worse it is. But good draft card, good high-end card to have access to. We have Summel Primal Odin, 6 mana also for a 5/3. Chapter 1, Murder, good. Chapter 2, this creature gains. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game.
So you get nothing.
That's powerful. That being said, it is a 6 mana creature with no evasive abilities at all. So that one's not going to happen that often, but, you know, kind of fun to think about. And there are equipment that can flying and so on and so forth. And then chapter 3, when it goes away, is draw 2, each player loses 2. So only gets 1 attack. It is a potent attack, given that it will win the game if it hits them. But this card's obviously a great limited card. 6 mana Murder, big idiot, draw some cards, pretty great. Constructed, you know, no, just too big and clunky and stupid. But yeah, great limited card, great bomb rare, and can make some pretty crazy moments with, you know, flying or trample or whatever else. Toonberry, 1 black for a 2/1 Salamander Horror. ETPs tap with a stun counter. A drawback I don't think we've ever seen before, realistically. Really cool. It's a 2/1 that is first strike and death touch on your turn. That is a combination of abilities we almost never see. Basically impossible to block. That being said, it is only on offense. So it's not going to sit there like Glissa and stunt all the attacks. It's only good on offense for that regard. I don't know how to evaluate this card because it is a really cool offensive card in that respect. But you play it, it's tapped. Turn 2, can't attack, some counter's gone. Can attack on turn 3. So basically you lose 1 turn of attacking. Is that worth it for a 2/1 with insane abilities? I don't know, honestly. You know, definitely a card that's weird, hard to evaluate. If you're some sort of black aggro deck, maybe, you know, but pretty cool card. In limited, I think also pretty good if you're an aggro deck, you know, pretty hard to stop, but yeah, cool stuff, cool card. Fun design too. Undercity Dire Rat, 2 mana for a 2/2. When it dies, make a treasure. What's the card called? The pig artifact card? Piggy Bank? Piggy Bank, eat your heart out. So we got a common 2/2 here, and I think this card's excellent. I think this card is really good. I love Piggy Bank. This card's obviously a little worse as a 2/2 rather than a 3/2. Not an artifact for Delirium. But just trading off your 2-drop, getting a treasure, casting a 4-drop on turn 3 is really nice. And then, of course, we have, you know, sack synergies and so on and so forth. I think this is like great nuts and bolts common for your black decks. Just good draft card. Vane's Treachery. Speaking of good draft cards, how about a sick removal spell? 2 mana for a -2/-2. That's okay. The important part here is the kicker. Sacrifice an artifact or creature, -6/-6. That is basically a 2 mana murder. Very powerful card. Modality here is excellent. We've seen this before in Dominaria, maybe, where was it -6/-6 or -5/-5? I don't remember, but still a very powerful card. Just a great limited common. Not much more to say. Constructor, you could do better than this, obviously. But for limited, this card's phenomenal. It's a great removal spell. Obviously, a higher pick when you are. I just say obviously a lot, man. What the hell? I'll work on that. A higher pick when you are of a sacrifice deck, but still a great card. Bombin Common. Vincent Valentine. 4 mana for a 2/2. So not a great stat line to start out. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a number of counters on it equal to the creature's power. And whenever it attacks, you may transform it. So this is a card that starts out really weak, but has a chance to get really big, really fast. It also flips immediately on attacks into a Galian Beast, 3/2 trample lifelink, and when it dies, comes back face up. So really awesome card, right? It is. You gotta untap with it. You gotta attack with it. That's a little scary. But the kind of card where if they don't answer it, shit gets out of hand real fast.
Sorry, Connor. It was an accident.
Really
I was having
fast.
too much fun.
Gets huge. And of course, note that when you put the counters on it and you transform it, it does keep the counters. So get 3 counters. Now it's a 6/5 trample lifelink. That is really, really good. So awesome card. Constructed wise, you can't play a 2/2 for 4. It's not good enough. But in limited, really, really fun card. Very excited to cast this one. Good stuff. Vincent's Limit Break. 2 mana for an instant, has the tiered ability. So once again, you can choose the modality here. For 2 mana, for 3 mana, or for 5 mana. And all the same ability. So end of turn, target creature you control gains. When this thing dies, bring it back to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with the chosen power and toughness. So 2 mana for a 3/2, 3 mana for a 5/2, 5 mana for a 7/2. So we got attack, trade, bring it back. Some weird things can happen here, where you can have a flyer at a 7/2 or whatever else it might be. So really, really weird card. Very complicated card for a common, honestly. Chosen power before it dies. Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. My bad. I'm an idiot.
Fool of a took.
Misread the card. I did start by saying there's a lot of words on this card. So it's the opposite. So it's a combat trick. It makes the creature into the size noted, and then if it dies, it comes back. So that is really weird. Probably shouldn't be a common.
Still a piece of
I think it's bad design, but whatever.
I bet you weren't expecting that one, guy.
Not a very good card, honestly, so whatever. Moving on. Xenos Ye Galvis. 5 mana for a 4/4. My first friend. When Xenos Ye Galvis enters, choose a creature an opponent controls. Until end of turn, creatures other than those 2 creatures, this and that one, get -2/-2. So a little bit of a Masker Worm action. When the chosen creature leaves the battlefield, transform this into Shinryu Transcendent Revival. 8/8 flying. As it transforms, choose an opponent. When the chosen player loses the game, you win the game. So if you're not a commander player, who gives a shit, basically. But an 8/8 flyer is really, really big, obviously. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're looking for a Masker Worm effect, this card's interesting. But yeah, more of a commander card. This is a commander. I'm going to save your creature and kill some other stuff and yada, 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 and whatever. So for commander players, have a great time. For constructed players, don't care for the most part because we already have the Harvester Miser anyway. For limited, it's pretty interesting. A 4/4 that Wraths is kind of cool. But yeah, really weird card. Zodiarch, Umbral God, black for a 5/5 indestructible. When it ETBs, each player sacrifices half of the non-god creatures they have rounded down. So that's worse. So if they have 3, they only sacrifice 1. Other player sacrifices another creature, put a counter on this. This is the classic, if you can't remove it, cool, but most decks can exile it or chump block it or just ignore it entirely. Worse than Phyrexian Obliterator. Also, basically uncastable and limited. Yeah, tough spot. Kind of like a Timmy card. This is sort of like the Black Gigantosaurus. There's a lot more words on it, but same idea. It's just a big dumb idiot. Most good Magic decks will have a way to ignore this thing. Probably make someone happy. And then limited, if you can guess, then God bless you. So to recap, Black, our best in show. Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. Our sleeper card, Shambling Scythe. Man, I still can't get over it. Our trap card, Dark Confidant. And our Bombin Common is Vane's Treachery. So that will do it for Black. We've done white. We've done blue. We've done black. All on YouTube. Go watch them. Check them out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you like the show, a lot of work goes into the set review, so please make sure you support it. Hit like on every video. Leave a comment. Say hi. Tell me what you think your favorite card is, how right or wrong I am. Appreciate it so much, all right? Love you all. See you in the next one.